Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be sewing this dress that I drafted in the part 1, so let's just get right into it. So here I've already cut out my patterns from the part 1. This is the yoke and the side for the front. So now I'm just going to remove the cardboard from the ankara that I pinned before, and then I'm going to join it. I laid it open like this and I'm going to join the dart side like this. I'll do the same thing for the lining, and then for the yoke for the front is cut on fold and I've cut out a lining piece. I'm going to join together with the lining at the neckline and at the armhole curve. I'll leave the down open and the shoulder side open. For the back, I'm also going to be joining the way I'm joining the front. I'm going to join it at these dart lines that I slashed open. This can be a little bit confusing, the pattern, so I'm notching here for the zipper allowance. So I know that part is the down part of the dress, of the bodice area. So now I'm just going to open it for the left and the right piece. You can label yours if you'd like, so it will not be that confusing. I'll sew it together like so, and I'll also sew the lining piece. For the yoke for the back, I'm going to join the neckline as well, leave the opening for the shoulder. I'll join the armhole curve and leave the opening at the end. So now I've joined the front. You can see that I added, it made the bust area to come out very well. If you're going to be padding this bust, you could also add your breast pad, but I'm not going to pad mine. So this is what it's looking like. This is the lining piece as well. So after I've joined the yoke, the front yoke to the lining, this is what it's looking like. So now I'm going to measure from the start of the yoke to the end, so that I'm going to know how wide it is. And this is what I'm going to use to determine the length of my pleat. So I have 18, so now I'm going to times that by 3. You can times it by 2 or maybe a half of itself, like 18 times 2, then half of 18 again. But I use 3 times of 18 to get the length of this pleat, because I want it to be very long and so that the pleat will be very even and fine. So when you get that, you're just going to use it and make your pleat. The length of this pleat is about 6 inches. Then when I fold it, it's going to be like around 5, because I'm going to fold it down like I've done here, and when I join it to the yoke, it's going to reduce a little bit. So now this is just how I'm folding my pleat. I just want to show you a little preview. I'm going to be pinning the top and the down so that it's going to be even. Then I'll just pleat it forward like this. They are all going in one direction. So when you pleat calmly and little by little like this, you're going to iron it when you're done so that the pleat will stay put. Okay, so you see the way I placed it here on the pink ankara. This is not the way I finally put it. I will push it to the edge of the pink ankara, like right where the pink ankara starts from, that curved side. That way the black fabric could be from the beginning of the pink ankara to the end. Don't start it from this point like I did. I went back to correct it. Then you flip the yoke this way and then use the lining of the pink ankara, the bust area. You're going to use the lining and cover it. The wrong side should be facing up. The right side should be facing down. Then now you stitch everything like this together. If you can't stitch everything at once, you can start with one of them and then like you can just do it step by step, but everything should be stitched that way. When you are done, this is what it should look like. This is how the black fabric is starting from the top. This is how it will be when you place it on the ankara. So I'm just going to trim off this side to match with the curve of the armhole. After you've trimmed it and flip it over, this is what it should look like when you iron it. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to join the shoulders. As we join the front together with the ankara, the back you will not join it with the ankara. You will only join the yoke and the lining together. For joining the shoulders, you can use whatever method you like, but me, I'm going to use this method where I'll just pass my hand in between, like inside the lining and the main fabric, and then I'm going to pick the front inside. But it's complicated, so this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to flip over the front shoulder like this, and then I'm going to carry the front with the lining and the main fabric of the black together like how I'm holding it now. I'm going to be pinning it on the main fabric of the back yoke. Like, don't pin it together with everything. Leave the lining of the back open like this, but pin the front together with just the right side, just the main fabric of the yoke at the back. Okay, so when you pin it like this, you're going to do it for the other side as well with that opening still showing. So now it's for that opening that you use and flip it to the wrong side like how I'm doing now in this video. So after sewing, this is what the shoulder seam should look like. So now I'm going to join the ankara back, and I'm going to join it the same way, like just this way. Pin the yoke on top of the ankara fabric and then use the lining to flip it over and sew. That's how I'm going to sew the back to it. Look at how I'm doing it now. The yoke now is in between the ankara and the lining of the ankara. After you finish doing this part, the next thing now will be to cut out that curved design, that curved black design at the skirt of this dress. So I'm going to go in on my fabric by 4 inches. This fabric is on fold. I'm going to go in by 4 inches. This is just where the black fabric will start from on my body. And then for the length, I'm going to come down by 7.5. And then from these 2 points, you could just do it slowly, or you could do it like with a free hand, like how I'm doing it, but you're going to curve it. Just going to carefully curve it. Then now you're going to mark out the width of this curved design, like how fat you want this thing to be on the skirt. So for my own, I'm using 3, and this 3 also includes the folding allowance. You know, they are going to fold it on both sides when you're top stitching, like on the ankara skirt. So just include your allowance as well, your joining allowance. So now I've cut it out. This is 2 pieces for the skirt, and this is how I'm going to place them on my skirt. So the next thing would be to just fold it at the ends for both of them and iron it down. Be careful while ironing this because it's curved, it's a curved line, so it's going to be more difficult than ironing a straight line. So you have to just take it little by little and then you finish. Then when you're done, you place it on your skirt like this. I marked 4 inch into the skirt before I placed it, and this is how it is looking like. I marked the middle line as well if you watch closely, so that I will be able to know the middle of this skirt, so I can properly separate this thing I just pinned. Also, before you stitch this, make sure that there is no lining. This should just be on the ankara. So here I've joined the lining piece together after joining those black curved design, and I ironed the front of the skirt into 2 so that I can get this midpoint line. I wanted an accurate, like a straight line, so that I will not make any mistakes. I've also joined the back and added the lining. I've also joined the darts too for the back. So now the next thing will just be to open this up and slash the skirt open, so we can make our slits. So after slitting it, you're going to measure how long you want the closed part to be on your skirt. This 39, that is, the skirt to be closed up to 39, then to open from there. So now I placed 2 fabrics together. This is going to be the black fabric at the middle, but this is just a sample. So now I'm going to mark the midpoint of this fabric I placed together. I'm just demonstrating how you do it. This is a sample. And then that 39, let's say that's what I marked here for the closed part of the slit. You're going to sew on that midpoint mark, the 2 of them together. Then you're going to pick it up like this and iron it so it to be straight. So now this open part will be the slit part. And then by the corners, you can just fold in 1/2 inch allowance and put your ankara skirt inside of it and stop stitch it. And then you iron it so it will be straight. Put your ankara fabric all through the end of the black line. Don't just put half of it, put it inside the black fabric. So this is the second method for joining the black fabric that I use for this tutorial. So I marked the 39, joined the fabric together, and I sewed up to that point. Then I ironed it open like this. As for the black fabric, I did not film when I did this, but I just placed 2 fabrics together. I sewed it at the middle, folded by the side for allowance, and folded the middle stitch open like this so that it will be straight all through. This is about 1.5 inch on both sides, like the width of this black fabric. So I'm just checking to see if it's long enough, because I measured it to be longer than the skirt so I can fold it in when I'm sewing. That measurement I stopped for the skirt, I did the same for the black fabric 39. So at the point where I opened up the fabric and the skirt, this is the point, as you can see. I'm going to just pinch the 1/2 inch from the middle of this black fabric that I joined together and also pinch the fabric from the ankara that I joined together. They are very little, so it might be hard for you to see. You can make yours bigger. I could sew with 1 inch. Instead of that half, I sewed the skirt together. I slanted the skirt to sew it back together, and the allowance I used to sew it was like half an inch. So I'm just picking those two half an inch, the one from the black fabric and the one from the ankara fabric. I'm going to just carefully pick the half of an inch. This method might be complicated, but you could do the other method if this one isn't very clear to you. I just want to show the two methods in case you want to pick anyone. So I'm just going to carefully pin it, the half inch sewing allowance to the half inch sewing allowance of the ankara, the one from the black fabric. I'll just carefully pin it all the way for the left hand side, and then I will also continue down the slit. As you can see, this is what I'm doing. When you finish the left hand side, you're going to proceed to the right hand side. You're going to pin it and sew it together. This method, the only thing it helps do is just to save fabric. Like if your black fabric is not enough, which was the problem I had when I was sewing this dress. But if you have enough fabric, the first method is just straight to the point and it's easier. As you can see, I've pinned it at the middle, and this is what it's looking like. So now when you finish sewing, you just do the top stitch. Okay, so after I join the other side, this is how I'm going to stitch it carefully. Then I'm going to do top stitch on both sides. Remember to pin this first so that it doesn't move when you're sewing. So now at the end, the part where I have excess for the black, I'm going to trim it off first. Then after I've finished trimming it, I'm going to fold it into itself like this. I hope you can see, just fold it like this, and that's how you stitch it on that part. Sorry, I did not film that side. So now I'm just measuring around this armhole so that I'm going to get the width of my sleeve, like the curve I'm going to use on my sleeve. So after measuring it, what I got was about 20 inches. This is bigger than my normal armhole, but I'm going to take out the allowance. This is 20 inches. On fold, it's going to be 10. So now I just place my fabric. This I folded into 4, but you can fold it into 2. Like I want to cut the 2 sleeves one time, that's why I'm folding it into 4. I'm going to iron this because this fabric is very light. So I'm just going to measure the length. This is where I made a mistake. I used 24, which came out shorter than I expected. I would have used more, but my fabric was like 26 total. So just manage this fabric and measure it well before you cut. So here I marked the 24 for the length of the sleeve. 24, and the width of this is 10 inches. Like I folded it by 10 inches because of the sleeve cap. But if you want your bishop sleeve to be like very fat at the wrist side, make sure you fold it more than the sleeve cap, more than that 10 inches that you got for the armhole. Fold it with more fabric. Mine is just because my fabric was little, so what I have here is about 10.5. So I marked the 10 first for my sleeve cap. Then at the middle of this 10, which is 5 inches, I'm going to mark that as well. And then at the end, I'll come down by 4 inches. This is my sleeve slope will end. And then I'll just start making the curve. It will sink inside at that 5 inch. It will go down. Then continue to that 4 inch I marked at the end. That's how I draft my sleeve. If you have a method that works for you, you can also use that. I just wanted to show my own method. This has always worked for me, so this is the method I use. So I just curve it like that, and that is it. I'm cutting it out with like small allowance in front, so I'll use that and join to the fabric, to the armhole. Okay, so as you can see, mine is looking straight, but if you want yours bigger, just add like extra 4 inch so that you make like a slanted line, and then when you gather it, that place will be like very fluffy, very very big. But I'm using just this 10. This is what I got because of my fabric. So now the next thing we are going to do is just open this up because that one was on fold. And then now I'm just showing my seam allowance. That's the 1 inch I marked out for folding. Then if you notice, there was like a ruching on the sleeve. I'm going to go up by 6 inches on that point. This is where I'm going to make that gathered effect with my elastic band. To make this gathered effect, you can use an elastic thread to run on that line, or you can use a 1/2 inch elastic band like how I did. I just made a channel that I placed in the middle of the line, stitched the 2 sides, and I passed the elastic through it. And that was how I made this gathered look. When I'm done with that, the next thing will be to attach the sleeve to the armhole curve like this. And then I'm going to join the back to the skirt. I'm using this French seam method where you sew on the right side, and then when you sew on the right side, you're going to flip it over to the wrong side. But first, I'm going to mark my half length so that I'll be sure where I'm stitching on. My half length is 16. I'm just marking it on the front, and I'll mark that on the back as well. So after marking, I stitched it in front. You can trim it if it's too big, and then you flip it to the lining and sew it on the point that you marked. After that, you can iron this, and then the next thing will be to add the black piping on the waistline. I'm using 1.5 for the width of my black piping, and just place it on top of the line there. Don't place it under the line, on top of the line. So when you are done, you're going to sew the side of the dress close, place them together front and back, and sew. When you are done, this is what it should look like. Iron this as well if you have the chance to, and then after now it will be to add the zip. That's the next step. So I'm going to mark out where I want for the slit as well. If you want your slit to be higher, you can always use that. I'm using 11.5 for my slit length, and then I just pin the rest up to my hip measurement, the wide part of my hip. This is where the stitching will stop, and that's where my zip will continue to the top. After I'm done, this is the zip, this is where I start at the hip, and this is the slit opening. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Thank you for reaching this point of the video. Please leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this. And if you recreate this, please tag me on Instagram at sewwithcass. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.